Welcome back to another episode of the Link podcast presented by Electra Link. I'm your host, Bree Pettit, and today I'm pleased to introduce you all to Gary Donley, who has been in the information technology sector for 30 plus years and has been a friend of Electra Link for some time now. Gary, how are you doing today? And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm doing absolutely marvelous. Thank you for asking.
Good. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you currently do?
Sure. So, starting out with what I do, I am a sales representative for a rep agency called Alliance Partners, and we rep 7 or 8 major manufacturing lines that support the IT network infrastructure market sector, if you will.
Okay.
And a little bit about myself. An old gray-haired sales guy who started out many, many years ago on a farm and ranch in Central Texas that knew quite early in life that is not what I wanted to do. And so look at me now.
So the farm life wasn't for you.
Absolutely not.
Was there something that made you want to get into sales, or kind of where did you start out? Like, what was your first job?
I can't say I ever said I wanted to get into sales. I just knew I needed to have something that I could possibly do and not be in an office all day.
Yeah.
And I just sort of, through life's tumbles, turns, and whatever, wound up being in sales right out of college and never did anything but some sort of sales.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It takes a people person to do that, for sure.
Well, that is for sure.
Have you always been within kind of the Houston area for work, or have you kind of traveled throughout Texas doing work?
No. So early in my career, I got hired right out of once I graduated from Texas A&M University with a degree in industrial distribution, which for those who don't know what industrial distribution is, it's basically a technology engineering based sales program.
Okay.
That's cleaning it up a lot, but basically it's all the theory and stuff and sciences of engineering, but for those who really don't want to be an engineer and they marketing, business, sales. And
Okay.
so, well, anyway, I got my degree in that and was interviewing upon graduation and got a job with a company at the time, a distribution company called Annixter. And went to work for those guys for, I would say, 7 years or so. Give me round numbers. Nobody hold me to the exact numbers, but it's been a while. And then from there, had opportunities at 2 or 3 of the different manufacturers that actually Annixter sold for. So
Okay.
those took me into travels, greater Houston area, and then even Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Lived there, covered what we would call the MOCA territory: Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas. So I
Wow.
did that for about 4 or 5 years, and then opportunity, life circumstances brought us back to Texas. Thank God. Yeah, 'cause I am a Texas boy, and so been in the Houston greater market for most of my career. So,
Okay.
but I did have opportunity to travel.
Yeah. Was Tulsa very different?
No, I loved it.
You
I
did?
absolutely loved. My family loved it. It's just it wasn't home, and without getting a bunch of life circumstances, we needed to get back to Texas, and
Yeah.
just I mean, if it wasn't for that, I would have stayed there. So
Yeah.
thank God I didn't. Wouldn't have met Ernie. But anyway,
Speaking of Ernie,
yeah.
how did you meet Ernie, and how
So
long have you known him?
so I thought about this pretty in depth, and so there's 2 times I had to meet him. One of which I was just a measly little old inside salesperson, and I was on crutches, in fact, and he came into the office having meetings with Ernie, and I didn't even call on accounts or whatever, but Ernie's name was known, and so I go, oh, that's Ernie. So I remember that, and I could even tell you what I was wearing that day. That's how big an influence.
Wow.
And but anyway, and the train really got started rolling down the tracks professionally was after my return from Tulsa, and I was working for at the time Avaya, which was a spinoff of Lucent, which is then became CommScope. But anyway,
Okay.
back then it was Avaya, and Electra Link and Avaya's relationship was on, let's just say, rocky ground at the time, and it had to do with circumstances and business dealings that had nothing to do with me or whatever, but I'm the new guy. And my boss at the time, Peter Carlson, and his Swedish accent told me to, you got to fix that shit. So I never forget my first meeting with Ernie, and he's sitting across the desk from me, and I'm just trying to feel my way through and where we stand and why we stand where we stand. Really didn't care why, because there's nothing I could do about the past, but I just wanted to get a ground to start, a foundation to start and building. So at the end of the day, through that meeting, I got, we was going around and around in circles and who was on first and who did what, whatever. And and I didn't want to come across as I didn't care. And I didn't care because it really didn't matter in my opinion. What mattered was steps forward, not backwards.
Yeah.
And I finally told him, I go like, Ernie, here's the deal. You strike me as very much a redneck. I'm a redneck. We're going to figure it out. And all I need is opportunity to fail you. Give me my opportunity. Don't judge me against the past.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, I never forget a few opportunities were complete train wrecks, and they were all tests. They were beautiful tests. I loved them. So I took advantage of them.
Yeah.
Here we are. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And how long have you guys been friends for?
I would say that entire time, because
Okay.
even I would say we would have been friends despite business. It's just because we're, so much alike. He's a lot more hard headed than I am. But other than that, our likes, we love hunting, fishing, outdoors. We love being around people. And it was a meant to be kind of situation.
Yeah, whether friendship or work
Right,
related
right.
or both.
Right. And
Yeah.
it makes it beautiful that we can work. I mean, there's times that it's not necessarily pleasant, right? You have
Mhm.
business dealings that aren't pleasant, but our relationship is one of which. Throw it on the table, get through it,
Yeah.
go have cold beer. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
it's no big deal.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. It's work is work and that friendship is important. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so that was your first experience with Ernie. What has been your experience working with Electralink as a
so
partner?
yeah, so it's been incredible is probably just a weird word, but it's been a trustworthy relationship, a strong. Even, let's just say the worst case scenario that everything's perfect in every situation, whenever is a deal. Anybody can do that.
Mhm.
It's how you react as a salesperson calling on an account, and how that account being electionally reacts when things fall apart, when things don't necessarily go as planned, when things, you know, just things happen. How do you react? I will tell you, my experiences with Electrolink have always been, I don't know, we're going to figure this out, and we do it, put our heads down, and make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's a huge amount of trust that has developed over the years where I'm never worried, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure they're never worried. If we're
Mhm.
involved together, it's going to work out. That's
Yeah.
just the way it is, and it doesn't happen overnight. And it allows me to go to sleep at night when I have a partner as electionally.
Yeah, that's so important. I've heard Ernie say that trust is earned, and that's very important to
Right.
have.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, have you had the opportunity to get to know quite a few people here out of the
Oh yeah,
Houston
yeah. It's over the
office?
years, and we all, I myself, have changed jobs. Always called on electionally, but changed jobs, and even within electionally, people, professionally grow, move on, new ones
Mhm.
come. But I find it very important as a somebody selling a product or even a service
Mhm.
to a company like Electrolink and hope that we can partner on a project. Is I know every facet of those involved, whether
Yeah.
it's the technicians, whether it's the project manager, whether it's the estimators, whether it's the C level being Ernie, Steven, or even behind the scenes, the purchasing. I find that an absolute must to have a successful, trusting relationship.
Yeah.
It just you can't cut corners.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially sales. It's all about
Right.
relationships.
Absolutely. Yes.
All about relationships. What is the importance of fostering good relationships within this industry, whether it's with Electrolink or other partners? Can you just kind of tell me a little bit about the importance of that?
It's absolutely the lifeblood of business. It's if you don't have those relationships where you can, good times or bad, make the phone
Hmm.
call and have honest, straight to the point communications and trust them that they're giving you the answer that's real,
Hmm.
and them trust you that you're giving the answer that's real, and you're a person of your word, a person of conviction. That 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 is sales. That
Yeah.
is a relationship. I mean, that's whether it's business or personal, or I mean, it's in my opinion, there's nothing difference between a professional relationship other than personal. You're typically around them every day, the way what you know.
Yeah.
But my point is the foundation of those relationships are identical. So
Yeah.
so having strong relationships is an absolute must, and you can't have strong relationships with 5,000 people. So you, as an individual, and I'm speaking from me, is you have to pick those in your circle, meaning those in your industry, those in your circle of where you're trying to make progress within an
Hmm.
industry. You have to identify those that you can have those relationships with. And you know what? Not because somebody's a bad person or whatever. It just maybe you're not, puzzles of the pieces don't fit together. You have to find those where your puzzles fit together and go and develop those few. And you know, whether it's a handful or whether it's 20, whatever, you got to be able to serve those who you can serve,
Yeah.
and you can't be everything to everybody.
Yeah. You don't want to spread yourself thin.
Right. And you just can't. Then you're nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Is that something that you kind of figured out right away in sales, or did that take you a while to figure out?
you know, I honestly think it's the way that I was raised. And
Okay.
I can contribute to the strong men and women that were surrounded me from the day I was hatched. I mean, whether it was my grandfather, grandmothers, whether it was my father, my uncles, high school football coaches, I've been blessed by being surrounded by strong, good, solid people. So
Yeah.
I think that all started a long time ago. So
Way early on.
right, right,
Yeah, that's so important how
yeah,
you're brought up and kind of the environment you're in, how it
right,
affects you in your job and kind of everything in life.
right. So yeah, I mean, um, and I'm inherently a pleaser. So I rather, I don't want to get too deep here, but I rather be hurt than hurt. So I will always be highly cognizant of those around me and read those people and make sure my actions or reactions are one of which are supportive as opposed to argumentative. I guess is a good way
Yeah,
to put it.
yeah, that's a good way to
So
put it.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Um, that's awesome. Is there anyone else in your family that has kind of followed in your footsteps and gone into
yeah,
sales?
yeah. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse I'm putting on them, but yeah. Both of my sons are in the industry, and
Okay.
actually, my youngest one is actually works for a it's not known as Annixter anymore, but Wesco who bought Annixter. So he
Okay.
basically starting the same place I
Oh
started.
my
And then
goodness.
my oldest son actually has my old job at my old manufacturer that I worked for.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and they both have the same industrial distribution degree. They were all Aggies. But anyway,
Wow.
but yeah, so
So they all followed right in your
yeah,
footsteps.
they're sales guys for sure.
That's
So.
awesome. It runs in the family. And you just have two boys?
Yes, ma'am. So,
Okay.
yeah, and and so we're kind of influenced by Elizabeth, my wife, because she's in IT as well, but she's a software
Okay.
developer, so she brings calm to the equation, and
She keeps it all cool.
right, right, and she keeps, as I like to say, she keeps everybody in the box. Us sales guys, we're never in a box; we're always outside the box, but she keeps everybody in the box. So,
Yeah, she's your
so
anchor.
right, right.
That's
So.
awesome. As a sales manager, what do you think are some of the most important skills to be successful at what you do?
Yeah, I was thinking about that because there's skills that you have, but there's also just your innate
Like intuition or
intuition, whatever. But some of the skills are, at the top of my head, I'm just rattling them all off. Is like you got to be able to read the room. You got to be, or is it attributes, skills, attributes? I don't know, but you have to be.
hmm
You definitely have to be self motivated. You have to be competitive. You absolutely have to hate to lose more than you like to win. That
Yeah.
sounds weird, but myself personally never celebrate a win because I'm supposed to win. I beat myself to hell and back when I lose. And
hmm
as I got older, I got much better at that. And it's not that you ever get good at losing, but you get good at using it as a positive, meaning learn,
Yeah.
take the time to reflect and figure out what went wrong. And I will say one of my influencers early in my career said something that has stuck with me. And he told me when he says, Gary Don, sometimes your best just is not good enough. So you're not
hmm
going to win them all. And so when I was young, and like that meant nothing to me as I got older. Okay, now I understand what that meant. You can do everything perfect and still lose. So you
Yeah.
can't beat yourself all to hell and back about it. Just reflect and learn from it and move on. So
Yeah.
yeah, I used to
Definitely.
early in my days I drank a whole lot of cold beer after I lost trying to figure out what the hell went wrong, but we don't do that so much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not always your fault or
Yeah, it's a
it
lot of things are
could be anything.
out of your control or not even control. Just
hmm
there's something that's somebody might just be better than you. Who knows? So,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't forgot what the question was, but
No, just about what are some of the most important things to be
yeah. So
successful?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and you just have to be a people person. You have to be true to your word. You have to be a good person. You just be honest. Say what you mean what you say.
hmm
Firm handshake. Just be an overall good person and good things will happen to you.
Yeah.
And then you mix in a little motivation, mix in a drive to be successful, and it just works out. It does, but it's all about you. You got to be true to yourself. Never get outside that. Whenever you start trying to be something or somebody that you're not, is when things go haywire. So
Yeah.
never try to be something you're not, and be stay true to the core, and things will work out.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Yeah. How important do you think it is to really know what you're selling?
Okay, I don't think it's very important at all because I'm not the most technical guy in the world, and my circle of clients know that. But what is important to know is know whatever the situation demands, what
hmm
information is needed, and know the sources to where to get the information. Because I'm probably a first layer skin level deep when it comes to technology, but I have a support and I know my support crew that how deep do you want to get? And so,
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not saying that's the way to do it. I'm just saying that's the way I do it. So the unicorn, I think, in our world, meaning the perfect salesperson in our world, is a highly technical guy that is highly a people person that has all the sales skills, good person, all those attributes that I spoke of earlier. Those two together. And what's different in the real world, those people do exist. So a unicorn is one of something that doesn't exist, but those guys exist, but and gals, but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
Technically, individuals are super strong in the people side of things, and the go-getters and wanting to be in front of people, and then you have those that are super strong and then technical. Seldom is it they're both not so technical to make the social side of it awkward. Those
Yeah.
guys or gals are special people, and those do exist. I even name a few. Hell, a couple of them are my competitors. They're great guys. So you know, but yeah. So I would think that's the perfect mix. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it's important to have, I guess, an understanding, but you
right,
don't have to know the technical
right. No,
stuff.
no. Yeah, I would say that's the least. If you and typically I have found over the years, most clients, as long as you're providing something or can let them know, the key is to let them know you are there to help and
hmm
not to sell something. So you need to be part of the
Yes.
equation that actually provides to make their day easier, more successful, or take something off of their plate that they can't deal with. If you're there to do that, man, they'll excuse a whole lot of I don't knows. They
Yeah.
will, but they got to trust again the fact that you're actually providing a positive in that equation of success for them. So
Yeah.
that's another key. You have to figure out what is it that they're looking for from you, and identify that and just deliver, deliver, deliver.
Yeah. No, that definitely sounds very important.
Right.
What has been a highlight of your career so far?
My career so far. In fact, I have a career. I don't,
I mean, that's a
yeah, I
highlight.
mean,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
you got to know, again, reflecting on where I came from, my hometown, it was basically 800 people, and I graduated in class of 28. And the
Oh,
only reason why it
wow.
was so big is because we had triplets in the class. Um, and I, I've had opportunities to see the world that I never thought I was going to have. So
Hmm.
my whole career has been a highlight, and I don't mean that to sound braggadocious or whatever. That I truly see it all as a blessing, and there's days that I absolutely want to quit. There's days I want to put my fist through somebody's head, but as a whole, it's
Hmm.
just been blessed.
Yeah.
So it's all been a highlight.
Good. Do you
Yeah,
love it?
I absolutely do. That's why I'm still doing it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like everything else. There's days where you go like, I had enough, but then 2 hours later, you're on to something else, and it just yeah. No, I just
Yeah. I think that's the perfect answer. Your
yeah,
whole career's been a
yeah.
highlight. That's awesome. What do you think is one of the most important lessons that you've had to learn professionally so far?
I think one of the most important lessons one can learn is uh, be true to who you are, say what you mean what you say, under promise and over deliver. If you
Hmm.
if you're there's a whole lot of variables and depth and all that, but at the end of the day, you just got to be a good, solid, reputable person that can be trustworthy and honest. And none of this is earth shattering. This is all pretty common knowledge.
Hmm.
It just seems in the world there's some people just can't pick that up. I don't get it, but whatever. And
Yeah.
it just there's no magic sauce. I mean, you just be a good person. Just be an honest person. I
We need
mean,
good
yeah,
people
just be an
and
honest
honest.
person. And it works out. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. How would you describe your experiences when partnering with Electrolink on different jobs?
Yeah, no, so it's been nothing but positive. Have we won them all together? No. Have we lost some? Have we won a lot together? Yes. Have we competed against each other? Absolutely. It just,
Hmm.
every situation is different. And, you know, but the deal is, at the end of the day, it's not me against you. It's more of, it's a big moving, what are we doing together?
Yeah.
And there's days that we're competitors on particular projects. The same day, same conversation, same phone call, be competing on something we have to talk about, and then flip over to how we're going to win this together. So it's just part of the crazy oatmeal soup of
It's part of the
professional.
game.
Yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
and the key is going back to the trust and the relationships where it is what it is, and it's not being used against you. It's not being used for you. It's
Hmm.
just it's a moving process to be successful as a whole.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that all comes with, again, relationships and knowing you know your boundaries, right? So
Hmm.
and again, just be honest, just be true, be trustworthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I think it's
hope I'm
good to
not going
kind
in
of,
circles here, but
no, you're good. I think
yeah,
it's important like to say those things over and over again because that's a very important thing to find, especially like in the work world. And it's
right,
kind of hard to find
right.
sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I can see my personal experiences over time. Is I've run across deals where I work with people and I walk away, and it could even won together. I'm not saying win or loss with
Hmm.
you, but walked away saying, "Man, that was a rocky road," and it was all about because you never felt solid in your footing when it came to the relationship,
Okay.
and I just personally can't operate that way, so I choose not to.
Yeah.
So I don't work with that person in that scenario. I just choose not to. So going back to like I'll go back to work with somebody that I don't feel like, even though it's a train wreck. I don't care that it's a train wreck. I want to feel like I'm on a train wreck on solid grounding.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
you know what I mean. And
That
so
makes sense.
went in together, but you're always like, oh Lord, what's the angle today? I just don't operate that way.
Yeah,
So.
you don't have to guess what you're walking into.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think is next for you? Do you think you'll continue where you're at now, or do you have
Yeah.
any other goals that you have?
Well, I'm not gonna be doing this a whole lot more, maybe 3 more years retirement plan. I do have an exit strategy. I don't know exactly
Okay.
when the exit is and what I'm gonna be doing because I do have other passions, and I'll be spending a lot of time doing those.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just continue doing what I'm doing. I don't ever want to go back to major corporation. It was good for me when I was young. Not so much when I'm older, I guess. It's just not me. So, and I've done that, been there, done the
Mhm.
world travel, doing all that. Yeah, I'm more become as I older get more homebody and like having a much smaller nest. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that sounds peaceful and relaxing.
yeah, me and airports don't get along. I've spent too many hours in an airport in my life, so
Yeah.
I just try to avoid them.
Yeah, you're past that
Yeah,
phase.
right.
Do you have any words of wisdom when it comes to, I know you've already talked about this,
Right.
about work relationships and kind of the importance of having trustworthy relationships. But do you have like any words of wisdom or tips that kind of have helped you over the years? I guess keep investing in those
Yeah.
relationships
Right,
and
but more
maintaining them.
importantly, whatever it is you're gonna do, be passionate about it, love it, and everything else would fall into place.
Yeah.
If it's a struggle to wake up in the morning to get to the office, that's not for you. I'm just that I don't,
Yeah.
and sometimes you get caught up in evil cycle of we're stuck and whatever. But I suggest that any young person starting a career find something you're absolutely passionate about. No job is perfect. No career is perfect. No career comes without pitfalls and days of holy hell, what I got involved in. But at the end of the day, you got to be passionate internally, a fire burning to get up in the morning to go do whatever it is you do. So that'd be my only words of wisdom. Whether it's a salesperson or doctor, or you
Mhm.
just really gotta be passionate about it because life is gonna be awful horrible if. 'Cause what is that? I'm pure numbers pulling them out of whatever sky, but I would think what 70% of your lifetime you're spending in some sort of career.
Yeah.
So you better. That's the biggest part of it. You better enjoy the hell out of it. So.
Yeah, and find people you enjoy working with and
Right.
partnering with for sure. Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
So,
Was there anything else that you want to add
no,
or
thank you for
anything you
the,
want to share?
yeah, no, just thank you for the opportunity. It's the first time I've done something like this. I'm probably rambling on,
No,
but, yeah, no, this is all good. And I totally, again, reiterate the fact that a major part of my career has been doing business through, against Electra Link, and it's been 100% enjoyable. Again, not taken away from. There's been times where I'm calling Rob or Ernie, still go, what in the hell? But it all works out. It's all good. So,
Yeah.
but that's part of one of the variables in this crazy equation. You got to have that variable. And it's not, if it's all good, put your head on a swivel. Something's fixing bad to happen. So,
Yeah.
it just can't be all good. That's
Mhm.
not life. That's not real.
No.
So,
And you got to know how people respond to
right,
conflict and when things don't go wrong. So then
right,
you know
right.
that they are the right person to kind of have on your team.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better.
Well, Gary, I appreciate you so much for taking the time to join today's episode. And thank you to everyone listening to today's episode of the Link Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing from Gary about his journey in the industry and his experience with Electra Link and just kind of the importance of maintaining good relationships. Next week, we'll be back with another panel discussion featuring our Dallas team. I hope you guys are ready for another group chat, and make sure to follow the Link Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube.